This next part of the Book 2 of the Divine Iliad is all questions and answers that were asked of Russell. And I will begin with the questions, and I will just say question, answer. Question. If every creating thing has a north and south magnetic pole, which way should one sleep to get the most benefit from charging his body? I assume that a man has north and south poles at his head and feet. Does he? Answer. It makes no difference whatsoever to one's health whichever direction his body points. The poles of a man are not at his head and feet, as they would be in a bar magnet. They are in every cell of him. A man's body is composed of countless millions of little spherical cells. Each celli is centered by the still magnetic light of God, and that stillness is extended to the surface, culminating in two opposed poles. That center and its extension is the still center of the shaft upon which the two opposites of electricity, charge and discharge, each integrating, disintegrating mass. A shaft moves around its center, but its center never moves. Motion is an extension of stillness in all creating things. Question. Do the north and south poles in the separate spheres which comprise a man's body all point the same way? And if they do, why would there not be a big north and south pole for the whole man at each end of a man, just as there is a bar magnet? For a bar magnet is also composed of separate particles. Our science textbooks tell us that the atoms of a bar magnet all point the same way. Answer. Textbooks on science are not infallible. North and south poles of particles, whether of man or a still magnet, do not all point the same way, nor are they parallel as described by textbooks' diagrams. All atoms are arranged in systems like our solar system. All of the poles of the various planets vary in their tilting the further they get away from the sun, until they gradually turn upside down, as our outer planets do. Mercury, the nearest planet, has an axis which is parallel to the sun's axis, and its equator is an extension of the sun's equator, and in the same plane. That is the only one in the system like that. Question. Why is the axis of Mercury alone parallel to that of the sun? Answer. Because Mercury is newly born. All planets are born on the equators of their central sun. Question. Why are planets born from equators of suns? I have heard it said that planets are ejected from sunspots by some violent eruption. Is that true? Answer. No, it is not true. Also, it is said that planets are pulled from the sun by some other sun passing near. That also is not true. The manner of a planet's birth is as follows. Suns generate by the way of their poles and radiate by the way of their equators. Great rings of radiation are thrown off from their equators. These rings condense into planets by polarization. The moons of Saturn are condensations from the radiation of Saturn. Its rings polarize and become moons of Saturn, just as the rings around the sun become planets of the sun by polarizing and turning upon a center of their own instead of upon the sun's center. They thus create a new center of gravity, which is an extension of the sun's center of gravity. Question. What do you mean by creating a center of gravity? Answer. Wherever a whirlpool of motion is created anywhere, the center of that whirlpool is a point toward which everything in that whirlpool is pulled. A whirlpool pulls inward from within as it spirals toward its still center. Gravity is that effect, caused by spiral motion pulling inward from within. Question. You say that every effect has its opposite. What is the opposite of gravitation? Answer. The opposite of gravitation is radiation. The center of gravity is also the center of radioactivity. while gravity pulls inward from within, radiation thrusts outward from within. Gravity is an electrical charge, while radioactivity is an electrical discharge. Question: just what is meant by charge and discharge? Answer: to charge is to increase electrical potential, which means to multiply pressure. To discharge is to lower electrical potential, which means to lower electrical pressure. Charging is positive and discharge is negative. Question: you say discharge is negative. What then is a negative charge? Our textbooks tell us that some particles, like electrons, are negatively charged, while others are positively charged. Answer: there is no such effect in nature as negative charge. To charge means greater pressure, while discharge means lower pressure. Lesser electrical pressure is the opposite of greater pressure. Therefore, the opposite of positive charge is negative discharge. Is there any relation to that effect of emptying or discharging when we say a person is very negative? Answer: yes, indeed. A positive person is concentrative, like a positive charge of gravity which pulls inward from within, while a negative person scatters or negates or destroys every positive, constructive ideal. A negative person will always say it cannot be done, while a positive person will believe he can do anything he wants to do. Question: isn't a negative person possibly just more conservative, more wise, perhaps less apt to rush into things headlong? Answer: no, negative means to negate, to void, to expand or undo that which has been done. A negative person voids his own success by undoing the works of others or by obstructing them. If he has a good ideal, he broods over it until he sees so many hurdles that he does nothing at all. He sees all hurdles as insurmountable, while a positive person expects to find hurdles in every ideal, but believes all hurdles are surmountable. In fact, a positive person gets a kick out of surmounting hurdles. Question: you said a few minutes ago that suns or planets charge through their poles and discharge in the plane of their equators. Also, you said that a man does not have poles at his head and feet. So how does man's body charge and discharge, or in what direction? Answer: to charge means to compress or condense into higher pressure. It means to accumulate a large volume into a small volume, like compressing a gas into a solid. Conversely, to discharge means to radiate a solid back into a liquid or gas. Positive charge makes matter visible, while negative discharge makes it invisible. Positive charge winds up light waves to create the visible universe of form, while negative discharge unwinds them to disintegrate the visible universe and make it become invisible. That is what science means when it says that matter comes from space to become visible solids, and space then swallows up matter to make it become invisible ethers. Now consider the sun. It is solid near the poles, where its charge is maximum, and molten liquid near its equator, where its radiation is maximum. It charges through its poles in the direction of the still center of gravity by pulling inward from within to compress large volume into small volume. It discharges from its still center of gravity by thrusting outward from within to expand small volume into larger volume. Take note of the fact that the direction of charge is inward toward the still center of any whirlpool of motion, which all matter is. Also take note of the fact that the direction of discharge is outward, away from that still center. Now, when you try to compare the charge and discharge of a sun with man, you must realize that the sun is turning on its axis as a whole, but a man is one unit of a planet upon which he is turning with the planet.